Hello, I'm Oral, and welcome to Oral Gibbs Live. Well, with me I have a very interesting guest because 20 years ago, the 18th of September 2003, was a unique year in St. Martin. We're going to talk about that right here on Oral Gibbs Live. My guest, my good friend, Mr. Fernando Clark. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good day, Oral. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
You're looking good. You're looking good.
Same to you.
You look the same like you looked 20 years ago.
Yeah, I wish.
But yeah, that's a memorable day. I think people will remember back in 2003, the 18th of September, on the Great Bay Beach, what happened. It's part of our history. And if we look back at what happened and where we are today, you have to ask yourself if it was worth it from both sides, from government side and from the protester side. Yeah. Some promises that were made have not been fulfilled. Remember, we were told that the boardwalk, in case people wondering, well, what we talking about 20 years ago on the 18th of September? Well, there was a demonstration against the construction of the boardwalk that is now on Great Bay Beach. It is now a part of our structure.
Right.
But it's not just the boardwalk per se, but it was all the plans that they had for Philipsburg. And remember, you got things like the boardwalk will bring 500 new businesses, 5,000 jobs, and it will protect the buildings on Front Street. It may have lived up to that, but where are the 5,000 local businesses, or the 500 local businesses? Where are the 5,000 jobs? And if you grew up in St. Martin, you know that town was a beach where the locals used to frequent, swim, picnic, whatever it is. That has been, nobody stopped it, but it was taken away. That spirit has been taken away. And let's face it, if you go in town at night, there's no difference between town and the cul-de-sac burying ground, I mean, both of them is like cemetery.
It's dead. But I think for people who don't know, I was born in Upstreet.
Okay.
So I lived on the beach. I grew up not knowing how I learned how to swim because I was swimming from a child. My father was taking me every morning at 5:30 to the beach. So I was swimming from a baby. I used to sit on the beach by Passing Grand, watch the boats come in and everything else. I heard what you said. I could relate to that because I was there. I lived it. I felt it. My life.
Yeah.
I think this generation, though, is out of touch with what's happening. They're set on something else. They're not connected to nature anymore. A lot of our people on this island can't even swim.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
My memories of Great Bay Beach are good memories. It was the best time in my life. I had a different view of the boardwalk, say, than you and others had. I was not against it. I was against the way that they did it and the way that they treated those who were protesting it. You see?
Yeah. And that had a lot to do with it because different people had different reasons to protest. Some people were concerned about the beach. Remember that the foundation was called Save Our Beach Foundation. And we didn't mean save the beach, you're going to destroy it, but save it for the people. You remember boats used to come in with fish there. When last you see a fish anywhere around there? I remember the late Mariolene Richardson. She too, was concerned about the coral reef that we had in Great Bay, which was also a protection for the beach.
But let me bring back some memories. I think people need to know. Like I said a while ago, I was born in Philipsburg, grew up on Great Bay Beach as a little boy, swam and snorkeled there. Where Bobby Marina is, used to be the canal used to come out there.
Yeah.
And we would get crabs and all the things there. And I could still remember as a little boy, 2 or 3 years old, snorkeling there. It was shallow, it was beautiful, it was clean. Today now you go up there, it's polluted. It's really the beach is a lot better now though. I see the water quality has improved a lot.
Yeah.
But it's still not what I remember as a little child. So the memory of Great Bay and what happened is incredible. You ask anyone who grew up in that neighborhood where I grew up, they'll tell you there was nothing like Great Bay Beach.
Yep. That's where
and the most beautiful
used to
beach
go
in
to
St.
swim.
Yeah.
It was at one time the most popular beach on St. Martin.
The guys were walking from Middle Ridge and Sucker Garden coming in there to...
Yeah. You know, we didn't know nothing about Mullet Bay Beach at that time.
Yeah.
The beach to go to was in town, you know. Then you're on the beach. Fishermen too used to use that beach. They used to get their fish, bring in their fish. I remember I worked at Barclays Bank, and at the back, we used to see the fishermen coming in with their fish and all of that. Today, now, changes come. Things come and they go. But I believe that when things change, it must be an improvement. You don't change to make things worse. And the whole of Philipsburg today is, I would say, it has not improved, not even economically, because...
But did it change or did we change?
I think we changed with the change, but
No.
it changed.
There's a reason why I ask that, because I'm pulling it back again so that people can see the difference.
Yeah.
As a little boy growing up, we used to pull net
Yeah.
on the beach there. Will Johnson have a book there where my father had one arm. He's in that book, a picture of him on the beach.
Yeah.
With a rake in his hand. He used to clean the beach there. So the thing is that it was beautiful. We go to fish, we wait, we'll help the guys pull in the net. Everyone would take fish and go home.
Yep.
That can never happen anymore because there are too many boats in Great Bay.
Yep.
In those days, there were no boats there, so you could pull a net from all out by the bar, come right in onto shore. So that's why I ask you if we changed, because I think we have changed.
We have changed, but we changed with the change, you know?
Yeah.
And that is it, because...
But that's the danger.
Yeah, that is the danger, because we went along with it. And we changed because that changed. That's how I see it. It's not that we changed and then the situation changed. The situation changed and then we changed with it, you know? But the people who grew up there are the ones who appreciate what it was. And when you get somebody who's unfamiliar with the situation they come in with a different mindset. Now, I'm not saying it is bad, but the appreciation for what was there, that appreciation is
Now
missing.
you're talking, because after a hurricane, the water will come up, run right down the alley where I was living, and that was it. We had high tides at times.
Yeah.
We had the bar that was breaking the water. Nobody was afraid that their building was going to crumble into Great Bay.
Yep.
But guess what? We changed, Fernando. We built buildings right onto the beach, and then we blaming the beach. We blaming everything else on that, not realize that we went too far on the beach, and now we have to protect it. So I'm just trying to show you what happened in Philipsburg too.
And then remember in the mid-1970s, the fulling of the Great Salt Pond, where, you know, to do the Walter Nisbet Road and that sort of thing.
But that was necessary.
Yeah, that was necessary.
If we didn't do that, believe me, St. Martin could never have grown.
It would not have grown
that was
what it is today.
Again, how it was done was bad. The way how they excavated the mountain there, and that was bad.
You know, now it's like crying over spilt milk, but we got to go back and see. And you know, the thing is that when we started this demonstration, it wasn't just one person. We had several people come to us, and everybody had different reasons. And if you look at the board of the Save Our Beach Foundation, there was only one person who actually lived in Philipsburg, which was Gerta Adamus. You see, but we had Hassel, Donnie Hassel.
Yeah, right.
He lives in Simpson Bay, you know. You had Don Hughes, okay, he also from town. You had myself, you know, Cole Bay. But we understood what was happening. And when we look at the whole picture, and if you look at the boardwalk today, 20 years later, you know, You have this gentleman, Mr. Rude, who does the Cope Avant, and he does that on the boardwalk. All Year's Night, you have the fireworks, people go to the boardwalk. Other than that, what activities are there that draw people to the boardwalk? You know, people go to walk and exercise and so on a daily basis. But was that worth all that we put into it? And then what we have to sacrifice for that boardwalk today is look at Philipsburg now.
But again, look at Front Street.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to, I'm not trying to contradict you. I'm trying to show you the difference here. Again, as a little boy, we had Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
I don't even remember Flying Dutchman, the nightclub. We had Baba Flanders movie theater.
Theater, yeah.
We used to lime on Front Street. It was beautiful. We had West Indian Tavern. There was life in Philipsburg. A smart ass guy came and decided, you know what? Let's change Front Street. Let's make Front Street look like somewhere in Disney World. We're gonna bring in palm trees that don't exist here. We do all kind of crap. In the end, Fernando, this is my opinion here. That would change Philipsburg.
Yeah. And this is what we were protesting against, because it was the whole project. You know, it was not just only the boardwalk, but the boardwalk was the start.
But the Front Street killed it because you couldn't get no parking. The smart guy changed everything, put limited parking, did all kind of crap on Front Street. Today what we have is Indians pulling chairs that were put there for pedestrians. They're pulling chairs into the road to stop cars from parking in front of their building.
Yeah.
That's what it has become. Yes, the boardwalk was done wrong, but I always say I supported it because I like the idea. I see it today.
Yep.
I bring my family and friends to Philipsburg, and they marvel. People have not seen it before, who've been here maybe 30 years before. They're amazed with it. It has turned out to be beautiful. The problem is how they did it. And I want to go back to that because I know you and Save Our Beach Foundation made that point a lot during those days, that there was no permit.
There was no permit.
Right?
No,
So the government was building in violation, actually.
And yeah, they were building in violation. Remember, at that time, the beaches and the shores, the beaches, the lagoons,
all the waters
had belonged to the central government. So we actually had to get permission from the central government to do that. There was no permission. There was no permit. I remember when we went to court on the 29th of September, and I remember that date very well because that's my birthday.
Yeah.
You know, and the judge said, but there's no permit. The work has to stop immediately.
Did it stop?
I ran out of the courthouse, ran up where they were working, and I told them, the judge just said, you guys have to stop now. And when they saw me coming running, I remember the late Joe Richardson saying, when I saw Fernando running, coming up in the sand, I say, I know he won the case, you know. So, and I said to them, the judge just said that the work must stop now.
Who was the commissioner then?
Roy Marlin. And the lieutenant governor was Franklin Richards. And when they made the permit only had 2 signatures on it. It did not describe the type of work, where the work would be taking place, what kind of work, who doing it. And it was just a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know? And so we were saying, do the thing right. You know, and even when we ask, how wide is this boardwalk going to be? Now, I remember when Tinitali from Paso Grande Hotel was asking them, how wide is this going to be? How close is it coming to my property? You know, we were told, yeah, it's going to be about 2 meters wide. You know, and he said, okay, and how close is it going to come to my property? He said, no, it won't affect your property. You could still do it. And then a couple weeks later, that changed from 2 meters to 20 meters or something like that. Some kind of ridiculous change. And we were saying, listen, give us the right and correct information. Get the permit. Put everything in place the way it should be. And then we're going to look at the rest of Philipsburg. And I remember predicting, and I remember Dwight Baran recorded me saying this: you are going to turn Philipsburg into a ghost town. People are not going to park on no Pondville or over where the dump is now by the Carnival Village to park there and then walk into town. It's not going to happen, you know, because we stopped the parking on Front Street and to some extent Back Street too. Okay?
The whole design, Front and Back Street, is a disaster. Sometimes you have to leave things as they are.
As it is, yeah.
That change, as I said earlier, really what screwed up the boardwalk because there's no parking.
Now, Oral, what nightlife do we have in Philipsburg? You spoke about Flying Dutchman, you talk about Fava Flanders, you know, and not only that, but we used to have a lot of restaurants in town.
Good restaurants in town.
You know, but where are they? Why would somebody close down a good business and leave? Because things are not going good. You know, you talk about West Indian Tavern, and there were many other good restaurants in town, but business.
We had the Views, we had Escargot. All these were fine restaurants.
Good restaurants. Yeah. Even Old Captain, we had Old Captain too.
Right, yeah. That came years after.
Yeah, Chef Cigar, which came in the late. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, we spoke to these people and they were also telling us, listen, this is going to affect our business.
But you know something, a lot of these people too, I don't sympathize with them. Because we all know who did what they did in Philipsburg. And I'm going to go on record and say, look, I personally was not against the boardwalk. I think it was a good idea. Mm-hmm. You have to grow, and that idea for me still stands. Where I have a problem is what they did to Back Street and Front Street.
Yeah.
They changed it. They should have left it the way it was, where you can park on one side of the road, drive up the road. There was no problem. There was sidewalk. Now you can't walk because there's no sidewalk. People park on the sidewalk too.
Yep.
It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So yes and no. You know, the thing is that if they had not touched Back Street and Front Street, that crap they have there now is a disaster. Mm-hmm. Put bricks that can't stay, all kind of things.
Oh, yeah.
And you feel like you're on a safari somewhere in Africa, not in the capital of Philipsburg. That's what they did wrong. But had they left Front Street and Back Street the way it used to be, with all the ample park and everything else, I think it would have been, it would not have had the effect on the boardwalk that it has today.
And I do believe the boardwalk, to some extent, yes, it live up to one of the promises, which is it's going to protect the buildings, let's say, in case of a hurricane, you know, but when it comes to the seashore, you know. But
it also changed, it also made competition with Orient Bay.
Yeah.
Because 40% of the people who were going to Orient Bay, or even 50, stopped going. They just stayed in town.
Yeah, they stayed in town.
It brought business to people during the daytime.
Yes. So you have people who rent umbrellas and chairs and that sort of thing, you know. So it brought some kind of economic activities in there. We took away one and we brought another one because remember the fishermen that used to bring the fish and that sort of thing. That is now gone.
But they didn't want to come, Fernando. Believe me, if they want to come, they could still come. All fishermen become lazy. What we do now? No, I'm being honest. People don't like me because I'm honest. All fishermen now, what they do, they take the fish from someone else, and then they sell it. And some of them are pretty okay, but let's be real. People don't want to go out and fish anymore. The fish is overpriced. The fish is already, the fish is dead. Hey, when I was a little boy, even as a young man in my 20s, early 30s, I could go to the fish market and find live fish.
Yeah, it was still alive.
You can find it now?
No.
So I'm saying, look, I don't want to contradict you here, but the fishermen, they didn't want to get that more. Things change.
But and things change in the water also. Because the thing is, and maybe you're right about the lack of ambition. Let me put it this way.
I wouldn't say ambition, it's easiness. If I could get you to go fish for me and then take your fish and sell and make a profit, why should I go
because they could go right there in the Great Bay, and get a fish. Now
you got to go far.
You got to go further.
You got to go really far.
And that is what they're not up to do.
Yeah.
So we lost one economic benefit, but we gained something else, okay? During the day when we have cruise ships in town, the boardwalk, you can see it full with chairs and umbrellas and people drinking the pina colada, all well.
You're forgetting something else.
Yeah.
The market in town. There was a market in that
Yes.
alley. What happened to that?
That market is,
But you see, government got to promote these things too.
yeah. You know,
But you know, with the market right in the alley
yeah,
there.
what we used to call the fish alley.
Right.
You know, there was a market, you know. But in doing all what we did to improve, we made certain things worse, you know. And this is what my thing is. When I look at the overall picture, could you imagine Burger King couldn't make it in town? A burger, remember we had Burger King on the square?
Right in the square, yeah.
Okay? And that could not survive in town. It tells you something. Because when we had residents, okay, I mean, those things survived.
Rizzo was $1 million company that started an ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see? So what I'm saying is we did something to take away the soul out of Philipsburg. And now everything is down in Colby and Simpson Bay area. But we killed
I
Philipsburg.
can tell you something. What elderly gentleman one night called me on my show and told me to call him after the show. I was speaking about similar things. He said, look, he said, Oral Gibbs, let me tell you something. They killed Philipsburg when they started giving out land in St. Peter's. And everybody moved to St. Peter's like a reservation, he said. He had families moving out. We were living in Philipsburg. We moved out to St. Peter's. A lot of people started moving. And then they were replaced by a group of people from the East. I ain't calling the names here because people get very sensitive.
Yeah.
And he said that's what happened. We were replaced. Our own government replaced us with other people. And he said, what are you fighting over Philipsburg for? You got any property in Philipsburg? You got anything in Philipsburg? I never thought about it. He said, look,
Yeah.
the people them who got property in Philipsburg, who benefited from it, they're quiet. In the night, they put the garbage on the street and they go home. They don't care. Why you bothering Oral Gibbs? I thought that's when I changed. That's when I say, you know what? Yes, I love St. Martin.
Yeah.
But I don't have to love St. Martin to the extent that I got to go fight over somebody else's problem. Because the people who suffering real bad, Fernando, they don't like you and me. Okay? They smile, but they don't like you and me.
I have to agree with you because even when we were doing the boardwalk, a lot of people came to me and said, but what are you worrying about? You have property in town? No. So what are you worried about? You know? And those
Well,
who...
Don Hughes have a lot of property in town. He was
Yeah,
a fund. Let's be real.
he was there.
Don Hughes is a local St. Martiner, very successful, very good businessman. I think one of the best. He took what he had and he multiplied it many times over. I admire him as a business. So he was there. He have interest to protect. I will back him. I will back Don on protecting his interests as a St. Martin. I will do that. But they got other people I won't do that for. No, I'm being honest. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Because those same people got their interest, their personal interest there. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he said, I only care about Philipsburg during the day. I don't care what happened at night.
I think I know that is.
You know? So when you get people talking like that, and then you're saying, why am I fighting for such people? And they themselves don't care. You know? So, but I really...
You were fighting for other reason. You were fighting for our way of life.
Yes. You know, and listen, let me tell you something. Whether you live in St. Peter's or even if you live Grand Cas, you know, Philipsburg meant something to everybody on this island.
Notice you're saying Philipsburg, I'm saying Great Bay.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah. The old folks, always Great Bay.
That's what it is.
It is Great Bay. Yeah. You know, and we put that name Philipsburg on it. But the point is, it was the economic center of the Caribbean. And somehow we let it go. Somehow we how would I say, we became careless or we focus somewhere else, or we...
I gotta pull you back to this one. No, we didn't do that. A number of things did that.
When I say we, I don't mean you individually.
But the people who were doing business in Philipsburg, which is Great Bay. I use Philipsburg because your reference is... But in Great Bay, became very, I should say, they didn't care about the customer anymore. People come from the neighboring islands, purchase an item from them. They were selling fake. They're still doing today.
Yep.
They were selling products that were not good at all. They were shipping defected, all kinds of things to people abroad. That is what killed it. People said, hey, you know what? I could go somewhere else. I don't have to come to St. Martin. Then you had the internet. I saw tourists in town on the phone looking at the prices in a stone and down and looking on the internet. And then they realized, but it's cheaper where I came from.
Yep. So, and sometimes even on the boat.
Yeah, so you know what? They kill themselves.
Yeah, we outprice ourselves. Huh?
Yeah.
That I have to agree with you with. We outprice ourselves. And we were careless with that, because there was one point where this was a shopping mecca of the Caribbean.
It's coming back, by the way, in case you don't know. Huh?
It's coming back?
It's coming back.
Well, I hope I'm alive when it reaches back.
No, wait, let me show you something I got. Right now, St. Martin is amazing, Fernando. Last month and the month before, we had some big shows in St. Martin. People from all over the Caribbean came to St. Martin. St. Martin becoming the entertainment place now of the Caribbean. Not Puerto Rico used to be what St. Martin is today. Puerto Rico was that in the 80s, and now don't underestimate St. Martin. We have this ability to change, and when it comes to nightlife, Simpson Bay and all the different things, boy. Don't underestimate St. Martin, I tell you. We're coming back.
And if you take a look at Grand Cars too, I mean, the whole island, we have this kind of nightlife. And a tourist once said that to me. He said, this place comes alive at night.
Yeah.
But there's certain things we have to work on to maintain that. One such being the traffic, for instance. Because you could have all the nightlife.
In the night, the traffic ain't not bad.
Not all over the place, but sometimes to drive from, let's say, Airport Road to reach to Tropicana Casino could take you, let's say, maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Because the liming, it's like, you remember I told you about West Indian Tavern? We used to lime, driving slow up Front Street, see who hanging out at West Indian Tavern, sitting on there with your chicken and everything else. That's what Simpson Bay has become, Fernando.
Yep.
It's just different, that's all.
Yeah. But we need some byways, let me put it that way. But we have potential, I wouldn't give up on St. Martin because we have potential. But if I come back into Great Bay and you look at what Great Bay was, let's say 20 years ago to what it is today, you have to tell yourself something went wrong.
So what do you think went wrong? You think the boardwalk caused that? Or what do you think really?
No, not just the boardwalk itself, but the whole Great Bay project that we were working on. Could you imagine, I sat in a meeting where I was told the traffic on Front Street will ease up because we put in roundabouts on the Pondfield Road. I stopped and I thought to myself, they were supposed to put 3 roundabouts, okay? And the plan was we're going to do away with the traffic lights and we're going to put roundabout.
But they did that, right?
They did that. But did that fix the problem? I mean, if you drive up Canagita Street any given time of the day, man, you feel like you're on 42nd Street in New York.
But I could tell you something, Fernando. If they make an announcement tomorrow that there's going to be immigration raids and they're going to be stopping cars on the road, guess what? The road empty. 60% of the cars on the road are being driven by illegal people.
By illegal and people who have no driver's license.
So we want to solve the problem. We announced we have a raid tomorrow stopping all cars on the road. and you will see what will happen to the
You want me to tell you
traffic.
what happens now? They're going to send out 1 or 2 people, and they're going to check out. And then they're sending WhatsApp, they're on the hill, by this corner, listen, I in a chat group, hey, police on the hill. What? Hey, police by Bel Air.
Yeah.
What? Police in St. Peter's. So they have somebody, somehow, I don't know if it's organized or it's just coincident, and then they send out a message.
So you see the traffic situation, you can increase gasoline, they're still driving. But you put police on the road and you'll see something.
And you'll see a difference.
So we could solve that traffic problem by removing, I think, 30% of the cars off the road just by having more police on the road.
More police on the road.
So
I like how you put that. It's some comical, but it's true. It is true.
Hey, I might be wrong, but that's just my opinion.
No, it is true. If you put out, hey, police going to be on the road every day this week, you're going to see a difference in traffic.
So, but I think I want to come back to the bull ride because that was something I remember speaking with you before the demonstration and after the demonstration. But when you went on the beach by Passing Grant, we got to go back to that because I think that is so important.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I got to go to a break. All right. So when we come back, we're going to continue speaking. I'm speaking with Mr. Fernando Clark, my good friend. Mr. Clark is talk show host, television, radio. He's St. Martin's top comedian, known all over. You ever change your name? You use the same name for comedy?
Still use it. The philosopher of humor.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and a lot more. So when I come back, we're going to continue right here on Hot 99.9 FM radio station, Facebook, and YouTube. Please stay with us.
Hey, don't guess about your insurance. Be sure that you're covered. Like with your car. Like your home. Be sure to be covered in case of a fire, flood, hurricane, or some other natural disaster. And travel insurance, because you never know what could happen when you're on vacation. You could lose your passport, your luggage, or have an accident. So be sure that you're covered.
Insure yourself fast and easy with Be Sure from the Windward Islands Bank Limited. Visit your preferred WIB branch, WIB Insurance Services, or BeSureStMartin.com. Get your Be Sure insurance at the Windward Islands Bank, your partners in progress.
For real? Somebody came in here and steal my curtains? Well, it's a good thing I'm insured with Be Sure, because even the contents of my apartment are covered. Don't play guessing games with your insurance. Be sure.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
My guest on the Oral Gives Live is Mr. Fernando Clark. Mr. Clark is a radio, television talk show host, comedian, and you also do you do like MC for big shows.
MC,
and all.
yeah.
You do everything.
Practically everything. But I'm one of those people who like to see young people take over.
Yeah.
So I'm allowing that,
They got anyone who could fill your shoes? They have anyone who could fill your shoes?
Boy, I was hoping my son would do it, He's good at comedy,
Yeah.
Sherlon, he's good at comedy. So I was hoping he would do it, but
How old
things
is he?
drifting. He's 27.
Okay, still young, man.
Yeah. Still young. I started very young, so I hope he takes it up and runs with it.
That's good. The thing is, when you look at the boardwalk and the protest by Save Our Beach Foundation, I want to jump back there because it's so important. September 18, 2003, right?
Yeah.
Did you expect the police to react the way they reacted?
No, no, honestly, I didn't. We had a peaceful demonstration planned on the premises of Pasagran Hotel.
So you were on private property?
On private property. We had school children from Sundial School coming out, and, people came out, a peaceful thing. I think where things went wrong is when the backhoe came, and the police told me, listen, you can't have the backhoe on the beach. So we asked the backhoe to leave. I got a notice, listen, the riot squad coming. We don't know when, but they're coming. So, but we planned this thing, no alcohol. Somebody, I know who it was, but somebody sent us 5 cases of stout. When they reached, I told them, put those in the warehouse from the hotel. I told Mr. Tinita, that's yours. We're not serving not even rum punch, no alcohol that day, because we didn't want anybody to say that we were drunk, intoxicated, or anything like that. Then up come the police, the riot squad, because police was always on the scene. Let me make that clear. The police were on the scene from about 8:30 in the morning. Okay? They were there between us and just making sure everything go good. As a matter of fact, the police were actually advising us on what we can and what we cannot do. When we started shuffling the sand, he said, nobody can do anything for shoveling sand on the beach, but you can't touch the people equipment. They warn us about that. So we say, listen, don't touch the people equipment. A volunteer who was down in working in Cooper Coy, listening to the radio, heard what's going on, and he came up with his backhoe, drove from Cooper Coy to come there. Anyhow, the riot squad came. They line up, and everybody is looking at like, okay, what's really going on here now? And I remember hearing Bernabella asking one of the officers, who is Fernando Clark?
Now,
And he
Bernabella was the head police officer, right?
Yeah. He was heading the squad at the time. And the guy pointed at me and he asked, who is Danny Hassel? Danny Hassel was sitting at the bar. So the guy gestured like right behind you. He turned around and he looked at Danny Hassel. Things was quiet for a while. And then we just heard, Batty, Batty, Batty. Those were his instructions. Okay? That's on record. That's on camera. And they just started to beat and hit people. During that time, one of the police officers said to me, Fernando, I want you to stand up on the step because it's you to come for. That's what he told me. And I was standing with Scotty Priest at the time. And then the police officer told me, go and get the backhoe off the beach. So I ran to the guy and I told him, listen, thanks for your services, but the police asked me to ask you to leave. Please, go. By the time I coming back, I heard the batty, 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 and they started to beat people. And I mean with clubs, you know, beaten. And it's to me, it was like beat anybody, but focus on Fernando Clark, Danny Hassel, Gerta, and Don Hughes. Okay? To me, the focus was on us. You know, but if we expected that kind of reaction, no, because police were on the scene all day. It was a peaceful demonstration. When we went to court, now Danny Hassel died when I said this in the court, and they asked us if we were drinking and that sort of thing to see if we were rowdy. And I said to the judge, Your Honor, the first time I smelled alcohol that day is when Bernabella came. And Danny hold his head, he said, oh my God, Fernando, you didn't say that? I said, yeah, it's the truth. Because we made it an issue not to have alcohol serving there. Okay? And then you got what you got, and the, you know, I remember when they finished, they just stopped. You notice they just stopped and walk up the beach. Because Mr. Holiday was up by where Greenhouse is now, looking on. And he saw people running. So he called and asked what's going on.
Who Mr. Holiday are referring to?
Derek Holiday, the late Derek Holiday.
He was chief of police.
At the time. So he saw people running from up at, but he didn't know what was going on. So when he radioed or however he found out, he said, they're beating the people. He said, but beating people for what? So he called for it to stop.
And beating his uncle too?
His uncle, yeah. So everybody, they line up and they march up the beach to meet Holiday up there. Okay? And then the question was, okay, you beat people, but did you arrest anybody? No. He said, well, you could beat people, you didn't arrest nobody. That can't go hand in hand. So they came back down on Front Street. By this time, the ambulance came to go with Gerta. And that's when I got soft. When I saw Gerta's mother came there crying for her daughter. I said, nobody else ain't getting beat here today. You know, my mother was there with me too. And like the Dutch would say, oh, where you gebeend have somebody had hit my mother. Because I don't know how I would have reacted then. Right. But they came down, and I was talking to Scotty Priest at the time. And about 4 officers surrounded us. And Scotty told me, continue talking. You know, but I'm seeing the police surrounding us, holding the club, and their guns. So I'm a bit nervous. I'm like, what's going on here? And Scotty said, keep talking. Then they interrupted us and they said, Mr. Priest, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent, blah, 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 blah. Shuttled him and gone with him. You know, let me there by myself. So I said, but what is going on here today? Here's the ambulance going with Gerta, and they prevented the ambulance from going with her. They told them, take care of her right here. Why? If she goes to the hospital, a report will be made. You understand? So they said, tend to her here on the spot, on Front Street, in front of Paso Grande Hotel. We told Gerta, go to the hospital still. Okay. Then, of course, we decided, what are we going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to see the governor. The acting governor at the time was Voges, Russell Voges, because Mr. Ethelbert Franklin, I always call by his middle name, Ethelbert, but Richards, Franklin Richards, former lieutenant governor, who was lieutenant governor at the time, acting lieutenant governor was Voges. So I said, I am going to see Mr. Voges. So we go down there, and Mr. Voges agreed to see us, but not with the media. I walked into his office, and I addressed him like this. So he sent the police to beat us. And he looked at me and said, Fernando, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, the police came up there and beat the people. He said, how do you mean police come up there and beat people? So he called Mr. Holiday. And he was like, no, come to my office, come to my office. And in 2 tours, Mr. Holiday was there. And Oral, Mr. Voges knew nothing about what happened.
And he's supposed to know that. He's chief of police.
He was chief of police. Yeah. He knew nothing. The instruction came, from what I understand, came from Mr. Richards.
Well, let's go back a little bit, Fernando, here, because in those days, under the former Nelson Tillis, lieutenant governors were the chief of police, although you had a police chief, which was Derek Holliday, which I said was cousin, his family to Don.
Yeah, he's Don's nephew.
So I would just want to clarify that for people who don't know.
Yeah,
so
at that time,
Yeah, so Frankie Richards, who is the lieutenant governor, but he wasn't in office at that time.
He was off island at that time.
So he issued an order from off island without informing his...
his deputy, the one who's deputizing for him. Because when we came there, Mr. Voges knew nothing about what happened on the beach.
Well, you know who called him when he was off island, right?
Who called who?
Who called the lieutenant governor who was off island, who issued that order for the police to attack?
Well, no, I'm not sure who did that.
Anyway, I know, but I won't repeat it.
Okay. But the thing is that so many things.
Because this is very interesting.
It is indeed.
We don't realize the forces and the powers and evil people who was at play that day. I always disagree with Lieutenant Governor Richards with a statement he made about the video. Mm-hmm. So you recall that?
Oh, yeah,
I think it was the most stupid statement you ever heard.
You see on video.
Because it was very accurate, that video.
Yeah. And listen, we had 3 versions of the same thing. All 3 had the same thing from a different angle. So you can't say, and Dwight too was very upset about that. Dwight Baran, he was upset about that statement.
Yeah, because you're literally calling the camera person at that stage now a liar.
Yeah.
That he took an angle that...
Or you went and fixed it up, edit it or whatever have you.
Yeah.
But we had 3 different views of it. But all in all, from before we went on the beach, we went to see the Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Voges. All of that is on record too.
We don't have much time because I want to come to the day after too also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So quickly as we went to see the Lieutenant Governor at the time, and he said, Fernando, I cannot stop you guys from protesting, but I could hold you responsible for whatever goes wrong there.
Right.
He told us that. And then from there we went up to Paso Grande. Okay?
Went back to Paso Grande.
We went back to Paso Grande. Okay? But we paid the Lieutenant Governor a visit before we went, and that's on record.
Well, now people wonder how I got involved. Well, the 18th of September is my wife's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I was at home getting ready to put a nice, big, fat T-bone steak on the grill and watching the news. And I saw what happened. And I didn't like it. I said to my wife, I gotta go. I gotta go to the state. I went and did a show, a live show when it wasn't scheduled, okay? On that show that night, I said what I saw happen to Fernando and all the other people in there was wrong. And I challenged the government. I said, okay, tomorrow morning, I'm going on the beach where they start the boardwalk.
That was the 19th of September.
Yeah, but I'm saying this on the 18th of September.
On the 18th you were saying that? But you
the
were going on
19th, no, which is the morning after. So I said, I'm going tomorrow morning there. Let's see now if the police is going to come and beat me up. What I didn't know is because I thought I would be there by myself because after you guys were beaten up and then whatever, it's over. Well, it was the biggest unorganized protest, I think, in the history of Semana, I think, and on the Dutch side. Because let me tell you what, that morning I reached the beach, I was the only person there. And then I look around, I walk around, and then people started coming. Almost 1,000 people showed up. I remember Leo Friday saying, boy, he said, but, oh gee, so man, people don't come up to an event like this unless they got food and drinks. You're gonna food, you're gonna drink, all these people here. The unions came out, the same students from the Sunday school came back. Yeah. Everybody came back out there they had speeches and they asked me to speak and I said, no, I don't want to speak. I made my point. It's coming there to make sure to support you guys because even that I had agreed that we needed a boardwalk in Philipsburg, I didn't like the way that they went about beating you guys up and I didn't like it. And I look back at that and I have the video of it, but the time was short because when you told me the 18th is going to be the day, and 20 years later, I couldn't go back to the archive. But I'll tell you one thing, Fernando, that day brought confidence in me for some modern people. I saw people I didn't know before it. Yeah. In fact, that was the first time I really met and spoke with your mother. Because your mother was there.
My mother was there supporting me all the way. Yeah.
So, so for me, it was an event that really changed St. Martin. And what surprised me, there was a lot of undercover police mingling between the people too.
Yep.
On the 19th.
Both days, the 18th and the 19th.
But the 18th I wasn't there. I was,
but I came there on the 19th also.
Yeah.
But I was still concerned about Danny Hassel and Herta. And we came there, we went up in a meeting and we discussed what are we going to do now? And we decided, first thing, we're going to take this to court, this beating. I remember about a month later, I got a call from Dwight saying that Bernabella called him and said he wanted to go on camera to apologize and explain what happened. And he wanted Dwight, Danny, myself, Herta to come and he would apologize to us. And he said, we'll do it in the restaurant opposite, right, taking over, so across from the police station. So if anything goes wrong, the police right there. Danny said, no, I'm not going. Herta said she's not going. Dwight was like, if you go, I'll come and film it. But if you're not going, well, then what could I do? And I said, I'm not going alone, So it never happened. But Bernabella had some information there to give us, which he eventually gave me about how he ended up on that beach. And It's not good. It's not good. But we allow, lying dogs to sleep. Or sleeping dogs to lie, whatever you say.
But that's the reason why I said to you, the person who called the lieutenant governor, who was away and who issued the order, the people involved, some of them no longer here, they're gone to another place. But it's amazing what took place that day and the day after when I went there and they thought they were gonna see me getting beat up and almost 1,000 people coming out. I think, and had nothing to do with your all foundation.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I wasn't even there. So the thing is that St. Martin has changed from that time on. It's not the same anymore. People are not going to take any crap. But more things happened to you after that because you paid a price too.
Oh, yeah. They had a lien placed on my account from Windward Roads.
Windward Roads placed a lien on your...
Yeah, because they said that we disrupted their work.
Oh.
So they couldn't work. So for the time, listen, $30,000, $30,000. I remember Franz Richardson went and kept a radiothon to raise funds for me. Now remember, this boardwalk demonstration was in September. All in December, I couldn't touch my salary, September, October, November, December, I couldn't touch my salary.
You were the only one that they brought the lien on?
Only one. Okay? And let me just say that we went to court and we won the case with the brutality. So Shelter and Danny, they were compensated, okay, for that. But I had this lien on my account all that time until I too won that case and the lien was lifted, okay? And if we going forward now, I remember Thea Heiliger called me to a meeting up at Windward Road's office. And the long and short in that meeting was that they were now going to put on the lights on the boardwalk. And he wanted me to switch on the lights. And I said to him, I can't do that. I protested against something and he asking me to, I understand the gesture, but what would I look like?
There was no gesture in that. It was just to belittle you, basically.
Well, basically that. I had Roland Duncan as my lawyer, and Roland worked through this whole thing, got the lien off my account and everything, and every court case that was placed there, we won them. Including, listen, let me tell you something. I went to Curacao about in March of 2019. I went to Curacao. And people recognized me from the film of that demonstration. People recognize, oh, you're the one with the police and thing, and that sort of thing.
That's 16 years later.
Yeah. So it was something big for, and listen, let me tell you something. Oral, there was no other demonstration in St. Martin, at least not on the Dutch side, since then, No demonstration of that magnitude. Let me put it that way.
I don't know, because what happened is things have changed. Look, on the 18th of September 2003, when I went on my live show, this show, and called out and told everyone I was going to go to the beach the next day, and I was going to do what I'm going to do, and let's see what's going to happen. Did I expect 100 people? No. 200, 300, 400? No. Almost 1,000 people showed up.
Yeah.
That to show you that there are still people in St. Martin who care, not about me, they care about St. Martin.
Yeah.
They care about our way of life. And politicians like Theo and all, I don't want to call names of people who already passed away, they were trampling on our way of life. Now, whether you agree with it, boardwalk or not, it's not important, because I was not a part of the protest. But the thing is how you treat us.
How you treat
If you're gonna beat Fernando Clark like that, then you're beating me too, and then I got a problem. So I got to step out there. And I think I didn't realize that so many people in St. Martin felt the same way.
Yep. It was outpouring for from September to the end of the year, it was outpouring.
Did you ever get a medal from the House of Orange?
No, no. And I don't think that would have merited that. But
No, I said no because, hey,
yeah, because the people,
you stood up for what
yeah,
the people wanted.
yeah, and true. But listen, if you hear the people that supported and how they came out and supporting, and when we did the radiothon, the people that came there, when a lady came and told me her 11-year-old son opened his piggy bank and said, "This is for Fernando." You know, and let me tell you something, the money that was raised, I didn't keep that money and not a penny. I didn't keep one penny of that money. You know, I thank the people for their support and for their feeling and that sort of thing. Yeah. But I did not keep that money went right back into the community. But the point is, yes, the people stood up because they realized this is St. Martin we're talking about now. You know, yeah. And there were some people who were for the boardwalk who still protested because, again, how we do things. Yeah. And if government had done things the right way, perhaps our demonstration would have been on a complete different level. But you show me, I am the boss. I could build this thing without a permit. But here you are breaking down people things because they have no permit, but you build them without a permit.
Well, I don't know. There's so much we can talk about. I didn't realize we're almost all the time. Only have a minute remaining. You know, I just want to congratulate you,
Thank you,
and what you did. Stood up for St. Martin 20 years ago on the 18th of September, along with the foundation members. Is the foundation still alive, or you all have disbanded?
It is. It still exists. We never. What would I say? Close it down. Yeah. But it's not active. It hasn't been active for a long time. So, but we see something that merit that kind, our need for that. I think we'll step in and go at it again.
Well, let Herta, Danny, Don, and all the others know that we're still proud of them, all right?
Yes, definitely we'll let them know.
That's 20 years ago.
20
September
years.
18th.
And that went by so quick. You know, I remember my little daughter was like 3 years old.
Wow.
She's a big girl now in Holland, you know. So
that's good.
Really, really, the time gone by quick.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you and much success, all right?
Well, I got to thank you. Thank you for having me. And let's see St. Martin moving forward.
Definitely. And that's it for now. See you next time right here on Oral Gibbs Live and Hot 99.9 FM radio, Facebook, and YouTube. See you next time. Take care. Bye.